Hey, Rooted Wings community and Freedom Revival community. We are so excited. This is going to be our first live Candidate Connect going into the midterms. And I am going to be joined by Josiah O'Neil for Congress, and Sean Frederickson is going to be joining as well. And we are just going to bring you this forum where you get to know candidates who we feel are worth you knowing about going into June and going into November. This is going to be kind of like a living room conversation where you just get to hear the hearts behind these candidates who we have vetted and we feel are worthy of you to get to know. So I am going to bring on Sean. Okay, I'm going to bring on Sean Frederickson right now, and then I'm going to bring on Josiah. Hey, Sean.
What's up?
This
Let's
is working.
go.
Let's go. Let's go. Are you excited?
Oh, I'm so stoked. This is
Look,
exciting.
you've got your Freedom Revival hat going
Yeah,
on.
you
I
know,
love it.
I have to.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to bring Josiah on right now.
Okay.
Okay, let me grab him. All right,
Boom.
Josiah, I'm working to bring you in. Why don't you, Sean, as I'm bringing Josiah in, can you give a little background about what it is that we're doing with these lives for Freedom Revival? And then
Totally.
I wanted you and I to discuss what Freedom Revival, like what are we? What is Freedom Revival? We're getting lots of questions about this.
That's so good. So let's start with this specific live and why we're talking to candidates. So with the Candidate Connect idea is what we're trying to do is simplify and educate the civil process. I think that over the years we've kind of it's been so complicated. Like what's the process to get elected? You know, what's it look like what's up, bro?
Hey guys.
Hey,
All right.
Mr. O'Neil.
So
It's good to
I want to
see
give
you.
just a quick update as to what Candidate Connect is, Josiah, and then we'll jump right in. So
Let's do it.
Josiah is actually a byproduct of what Candidate Connect is this idea of we want to interact with candidates. We want to see, like, what is the responsibility of we the people? You know, is it possible to find good men and gather people to vote for a good man or woman? And I believe that Candidate Connect is engaging with Christians and culture and bringing them back together to help us solidify what this republic was established on.
That's
Go
so
ahead,
good.
Britt.
No, that's so good. And really, like, I don't know if you, when I was bringing on Josiah, I don't know if you talked about how our heart behind Freedom Revival is to kind of redefine all the boundary lines. Did you talk about that, about church and culture? So we've been told for so long that church just needs to back up, you know, get out of politics, go back to praying and devotions. That's where you belong. Leave the culture and leave the politics to everybody else. And for those of you who are following along, it's not going very well. We just had a horrific bill passed today through the Judiciary Assembly, and it's horrible what the things that we're seeing, the legislation that's not only being written, but that's being passed. And a lot of that has to do with the church being obedient to just step away, get out of politics and let us handle it. So what Freedom Revival is doing is we are coming in and saying, actually, that's not the way it's supposed to be. We are supposed to be the conscience of the state. And so we're going to step back in and redefine those lines. So that's what Freedom Revival is doing. And we are getting our hands dirty in culture, in politics, as Christians, as the church, as we believe it should have been from the beginning, as this nation was set up and founded. So that's kind of a brief summary of what Freedom Revival is. Did I miss anything?
That's so good. You know, I just want to recap real quick where you said, like the foundation of this country was. So this country was very much focused on the gospel and this idea that free people can govern themselves if they're moral and if they're righteous, then they can govern themselves, which is that contract that the United States Constitution put under. So we're, like what you said perfectly, is we're honoring that foundational document, and we're reminding people of how to be citizens.
That's right. Well, that brings us to our first candidate. We have Josiah O'Neil, who is joining us. Josiah, thank you so much. We met you at our Candidate Connect San Diego live that we had last week, and we loved you. We are excited about you. And so we were like, you know, we need to bring you into social media on this platform so that
Awesome.
you can engage with this community on social media. So can you just give us a little bit of background about who you are and why in the world you're getting into politics?
Yeah, and what a mess it is. So obviously, thanks for having me on here. I really, really appreciate it. I'll try to shorten my bio to like 20 seconds, but so I actually grew up in Mexico and Ecuador. My parents were missionaries. So si alguno de ustedes habla en español, podemos platicar después porque entiendo la verdad que latinos son republicanos, si no lo saben. For those of you, look, the truth is I'm saying Latinos are conservative, and people don't know it. They believe in God and country. They're hardworking. They have values. It's something that Republicans need to do a better job at. I graduated high school when I was 15, came back to the States. Originally, I started going to Bible college at Calvary Chapel in Marietta, and I met my wife, Lindsay. She did not become my wife at that time. Her literal words were, "I'm not here for that." So good for her. She was there to study the word.
Come on.
9/11 happened, and like a lot of guys my age, I went off and joined the military. So at 17, I joined the Army. I went in as a combat medic, went to a tour of combat during Operation Iraqi Freedom. It was a wild ride. Talk about that some other time. Came back to the States, and then returned to support high-threat diplomatic security stuff, and that kicked off like 20 years of public service. So when I came back from the Middle East the last time, I came home. Lindsay and I had met again and got married. By the way, 14 years, 3 kids.
So good. I love it. That says a lot.
That's God. And I came back to the States and joined the LA County Sheriff's Department. That's what kind of kicked off my career. So I was with LA for a while. I went down to Oceanside PD, which is in the district where I'm running now. I put myself through school at night, got a business degree, and then eventually was able to join the State Department during the Trump administration. I worked for Mike Pompeo. I was a special agent with the Diplomatic Security Service. So again, I was assigned right here in SoCal. I worked on national security issues like document integrity, visas, passports, organized crime, counterterror. It really put me in the know and what's happening with geopolitical issues, especially on our border. Long story short, life happens. My dad ended up getting sick and passing away sort of unexpectedly. And Lindsay and I kind of thought, hey, our priorities are family. We want to come home. So I resigned from the Foreign Service and I came back where I work now as a deputy in the San Diego Sheriff's Department. So I'm 15, 18 hours a day in the heart of this district where I'm running now. So that's what brought us back. And honestly, the push towards a congressional run was exactly what you guys have been saying. I'm watching our country go down the drain. I'm watching our values being eroded. I'm watching conservatives that don't know why they're conservative. Because if they've turned their backs on God, they can say, oh, well, I'm a Republican. But they don't have the foundation on why we're a republic. And that's crucial, right? And so because if we abandon that completely, you get exactly what you're seeing now. And listen, you guys are doing an awesome job. Tomorrow, I got to give a shout out. Tomorrow, there's a special event I'm doing with Pastor Jack Hibbs at Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills. And the topic is Christians and politics and why people need to get involved. I'm going to be covering history in the past and what happens when the church bounces on being involved in their culture. And then we're going to go into what's happening right now. And then we're going to go into what you can do about it to get engaged. Because the bottom line is 50% of professing Christians don't even register to vote. And if we could change that, we would change California overnight. That's why I'm stepping up.
Yeah, there's a question that I just saw real quick. And I think this is relevant to what you're saying is what is the church's role in politics? Because there's been this great divide where there's been a social club and then there's all these corrupt individuals that are sitting up in the ivory tower creating all these mandates that we must abide by. What is the role of the church?
Listen, we're called to be salt and light. You're called to be involved wherever you are. Anytime a Christian tells you like, hey, you shouldn't be involved in politics, or that is a lie straight from the devil, because the only one that wants you to think that is the spirit of this world. I'm telling you right now, listen, the whole concept of separation of church and state was nowhere in the Constitution. You will not find it. It came from a letter that Benjamin Franklin wrote addressed to a Baptist organization, and it was taken way out of context by those seeking to ruin our country. The truth is we don't want a a state-sponsored church like the Church of England, where you have corruption and politics infiltrating what should be the Word of God. But there is no question at all, our founders based this country on biblical principles. Look, it's inalienable, right? The government doesn't give you your rights. They came from God. The government's there to protect them. That's why, unlike the French Revolution, we are a republic. We're not based on mob rule or
So
democratic vote. No, we're based on a constitution that was based and created for immoral and religious people. And I mentioned at Rise when we did the event down there, that this was not a generic statement. No. Patrick Henry said, we are a country of Christians who believe in Jesus Christ. This was not about just any random belief. The freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution and our republic strictly come from biblical Christian Judeo values. And everyone benefits from it. I don't care if you're an atheist or a Christian, the Constitution's there for everybody. But it behooves you, based on facts like history, to vote for people who uphold individual value of life and freedom. So we got to get back to that.
Hey, that's so good. Okay, real quick, tell us what seat you're running for. The cities, I have them here, so I'll say the cities, but just the district, and then who you are running against, because that's so important so people know to be looking for your name on the ballot.
Yeah, so listen, I'm running in California's 49th Congressional District. That's encompassing parts of South Orange County, a good chunk of North County, San Diego, all down the coastline to all the way to Del Mar Fairgrounds. So that's Vista, Oceanside, Camp Pendleton, Laguna Niguel, San Juan Capistrano, Dano Point, Carlsbad, Encinitas, all the way down to Del Mar and then some.
You got it. I don't even have to say the cities. I have them here. I'm like, check.
There it is.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
You got them.
All right, for those that don't know, what's the significance of a congressional candidate? Why would they want to vote for, or why do they care about who's running for Congress?
Oh, there are so many reasons. There's dual reasons. Number one, your U.S. representative's job is to represent you in D.C., right? So all these problems we have going on, the issues with politicians seeking ambition and avarice, like Benjamin Franklin warned against, the love of money and the love of power, you get what you see. And so whatever's been happening in California, clearly it's not working. So we need people to go and be a voice for the voiceless on a national level. Now, the second part of that is that not only do the local issues matter, like in the 49th specifically, crime is number one by far. Public safety, the border, and crime. It's crossing the aisle completely. Democrats, Republicans, and undecided in the middle. But the truth is, for those of us in the know who want to save our country, this is also about a national platform. Because if we can break the mold of the establishment, or as the last administration liked to say, the swamp, if we can change that, we can be an inspiration to people all across the state. And we know that what happens in California, it don't stay here. It goes across the country as an example to others. So we want to give people a voice back, and that's not happening right now.
I know that one of your issues that you're really passionate about are the crime, drugs, human trafficking. Talk to us about how that is going to shape you in Congress. What are you going to do with all those issues at play? We are seeing astronomical rise of all of that, especially in San Diego. What are you going to do about it?
Well, a couple parts to that answer. One, I've had people ask me before, well, what can a congressman do about local crime? Well, a lot, because one advantage I have coming from law enforcement itself is I've been working in those areas my whole life. So I'm not Googling statistics. I'm telling you how grant money, for example, federal grants, affects things like human trafficking and narcotics. But more importantly, we have people representing us that don't truly understand what the problem is. So they clean the cobwebs, but they never kill the spider. You hear what I'm saying? That's a problem. You have to be able to understand the problem in order to solve it. So it is time that we take crime to Congress. I mean, just to rattle off a few, I mentioned fentanyl overdoses. In 2019, there was 120 overdoses on fentanyl in San Diego County. In 2022, there was over 800. That's a significant increase. And I'm not just quoting you stats. I right now am the guy that kicks down the doors, answers 911 calls, and has to go tell the parents, I'm sorry, but your juvenile's overdosed on fentanyl that the drug dealer was selling at high school. So it's across the board. Murder, single largest year increase last year, according to the FBI statistics. It was up 30%. That's 21,000. You have the issue of ghost guns in San Diego County. I mean, San Diego City alone had 372 guns seized. It's 77 of which were 80% lowest builds. And don't even get me started on property and smash and grabs.
Hold on, let me jump in real quick.
Go ahead.
When you mentioned ghost guns, what are your thoughts on ghost guns?
Well, you have to understand the difference between bad people and good people. I am 100% behind the Second Amendment. There should be little to no restrictions on it. And here's why. Again, history, facts. Gun laws rarely affect crime rates. In fact, look at Chicago, right? Some of the strictest gun laws in the nation. They have 2,600 murders in the first 6 months. They're slaughtering each other. I don't see any protest about that. We all want to hate on the cops, and we don't want to talk about the root of the problem, which is the sinful heart of man, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So criminals, let's just be honest. Criminals don't care about your gun laws. They don't.
Totally.
And red flag laws are absolute garbage because it's an excuse for an oppressive, big gov leftist perspective to come in and seize the ability for self-defense away from the citizen. I stand against that 100%.
Cool.
Let me ask you.
Wait, I just want to clarify.
Go ahead.
So San Diego County has been talking about getting ghost guns, like taking them off the market, making so you can't purchase 80% lowers. Are you in support of that idea, or are you against that idea?
No, I'm not. And
Cool.
Just to be clear, I believe I have the standing to back that up because look, I just kicked the door down a couple months ago and hit a weapons manufacturing lab at a motel. I'm the guy writing the warrants. I understand the problem, no doubt. I'm the one that puts my life at risk when I go through the door and someone's armed on the other side. My point is, I'm a realist. Common sense has been abandoned. We know that these people make it. They're going to get them anyways. The criminals don't care what the law is. So all we've managed to do is take weapons away from good people.
That's good. Go ahead, Brett.
Okay, I'm going to move you on to the next topic because something else that you're really passionate about is keeping spending in check. We are seeing gas prices going through the roof right now in San Diego. They can't seem to figure out how to get that in check. And then obviously, the more they spend, the more we pay is just the name of the game. Government doesn't make money, it spends ours. What are your tangible goals and plans to get spending in check so that when we work hard, we get to keep more of our money instead of working harder to give the government more?
Yeah. So first of all, people need to understand that what you're suffering through is purposefully done by politicians on the left. It's on purpose. We have the resources and we can cut taxes. They don't want to. If you track assembly activity, you'll notice recently that they all almost unanimously across the left decided to not repeal and not scale back the gas tax. They want it there. It's part of a Marxist ideology that says redistribution of wealth. The more dependent you are on the government, the more subservient you are. That's the bottom line. So it's we know the solution. The problem is we're not putting elected officials there to make it happen. That's the problem.
So true.
You're I think you're speaking our language there, Josiah. You're really hitting the nail on the head. So let's talk about who you've got to run against in this district, the 49th Congressional District.
And the date. The date. People need to know the date. So who and the date. Yes.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
The primary is June 7th. And we have to get out there and vote. Oh, I mentioned how 50% of professing Christians don't vote. That's a problem, but I'll give you an even bigger number. During the recall of Gavin Newsom, 79% of Republicans did not vote.
Yep.
79%. That's not, oh, they voted and it didn't show up. We have that data. This is 79% of Californians that just said, I'm out. I don't care. I don't care about politics. I don't want to be involved. They're disillusioned. They don't care. We have to stop that. The left, if we'll give one thumbs up to the left, it's that they're united in their extremist ideology. They push forth their propaganda. They get people activated. They protest and they show up to vote. We have to, at a minimum, show up to make a difference. So the primary is June 7th. That's when you need to vote. Okay. And your other, listen, there's quite a few people. There's quite a few people in this race. All right.
And for the 49th district, which is what you're running for.
The Democrat during the general is going to be Mike Levin. He is the tip of the spear for progressive movements in California.
For people who don't, I'm going to slow you down on that for 1 second, because this is so important that we sit here for a minute. For people who don't know who you're going after, Mark Levin, can you give us Mike, can you give us in a nutshell who he is and why we need to get him out and why we need to get you in? Because that's really important. Not everyone knows all of these little facts that are super important.
Yeah, sure. So what you have to understand when I talk about the left being united is that these races, like congressional races, and even things like district attorneys and sheriffs and things like that, this is a distillation of a globalist ideology that trickles all the way down to the grassroots level. Guys like Mike Levin, who are running against, I mentioned, the tip of the spear for progressives, right? He's aligned himself with the Squad, with Elizabeth Warren, and just like Newsom, the chain connects all the way up to the Global Economic Forum. They believe in the Great Reset. They believe in socialism. And in order to make those things happen, you have to oppress people who believe in God. Listen, Christianity is not able to function. Let's say that backwards. Socialism and Marxism is not able to function while Christians exist in a society, and they know that. So any of these Democrats that you see that are self-identified as, borderline socialists, some of them just openly are democratic socialists. You have to understand that one of their main goals is to destabilize the core of a capitalist country. And here in a republic like America, that means the family, it means marriage, it means life of the unborn. They're purposely going after. They don't care about people. They don't care about people in any of these individual identity groups that they've chopped up. Their goal is to cause division so that they present themselves as the solution. That's what we're up against.
So if I can just backtrack real quick to, you mentioned the primary is June 7th. What is the significance of June 7th, and why do these viewers need to be activated for a June 7th primary in comparison to the general, which is in November?
Because I think a lot of people just think, oh, well, I'll just wait until November. Like, why? I don't get it. Like, what's going on June 7th? So what is that significant point?
So the primaries is an idea going all the way back to the founding fathers. The idea is that the people get to elect who amongst them will go forth into a final round off. 2 candidates will advance to the general election. So June 7th is the opportunity for people to say, this is the guy that we want to go up against the other person. Okay. Now, just so you guys know, one of the difficult things about running a race is name ID. Okay, I'm just being real with you guys. People have to know who you are in order to vote for you. So one of the issues is, this is why we're on a campaign trail all the time to raise finances, because it costs money to put your signs out and marketing and emails and things like that, right? So one of the advantages that the left has is that they're concerted in their ideology. They put a lot of money behind their people. And the problem that we have on the establishment side is that now we've developed this way of thinking that says, look, the best candidate is measured solely by how much money they have. We've literally replaced values with mammon. Okay. That's basically what we're finding out. And that's why guys like me, you don't see us running that often, are blue collar, middle class public servants, because I don't have $1 million to drop on my own race. So how that can be overcome? The people. The people can speak and obliterate all the money in the world. If you show up and vote for the candidate that you want, it doesn't matter if the opponent has $200 million. Look at New Jersey, right? We proved that.
That's good.
When people stand up and vote, we make a difference.
So important that it's June 7th. I can't hammer it hard enough how important it is. Our ballots are going to be in our mailbox May 8th, May 9th, right around then. It is so important that if you like this guy that we're talking to right now, Josiah O'Neil for Congress 49, if you are in Las Flores, Ladera Ranch, Laguna Niguel, San Juan Cap, Dana Point, San Clemente, Camp Pendleton, Oceanside, Vista, Carlsbad, Encinitas, Solana Beach, or Del Mar, if you love what you're hearing and you're like, this is who we need, start talking about him. Get his signs. Ask how you can volunteer. Get his name tattooed on your mouth so that people know who he is. Because like he said, it's all about name recognition going into this early vote. And May 7th is when people are going to have the ballots being sent out to them. And we need to have Josiah's name on the minds of everyone in those areas. So when they see his name, they put him, they circle him, they blot him, whatever it is, so that he progresses forward to that November 8th date. But we have to get him through that catch. It's so important.
Good. All right, let me just jump in real quick. I want to say the value of the next 40 days is extremely significant, where to get your name to ensure. How many candidates do you have that are running against you there, Josiah?
I believe there's 8. There's 4 that are seriously, kind of in it on the Republican side, and now I just heard another Democrat join. So there's 2 Democrats and
all right, so
some
you've
Republicans.
Got eight candidates, and how many get through the primary in June? Did you say 2? All right, so in the next 40 days, we've got to ensure that your name is understood, or these individuals in your congressional district know to vote for you to get you through the semifinals so that you can go to the finals. Is that
That's
about right?
That's right. And listen, for those who don't understand the process, the primaries is kind of like you're thrown out there and you're like, hey, go prove yourself, have at it, right? Once you make the general election, that you get national support. So the goal here is to show, hey, the people in the 49th district in Southern California have spoken. This is who we want to go forth. If that happens, you'll see a lot of support come in nationwide. You'll see more names, you'll see more endorsements because the party wants to win. Hey, let them do it. But we want the people to speak. And let me just throw this out there for those who may be thinking, I've never really cared about politics or whatever. Listen, if you don't care about politics, you have surrendered to those who do. Trust me. Nobody escapes the effects of politics. I don't care if you have kids or you don't have kids. Politics affects you. You want to talk about the founders and how wise they were in setting things up. We divided things for accountability. We have the judicial. We have the legislative. We have the executive branch. But the less talked about, really sort of counter check, is the political process. Listen, politicians and elected officials, they do things. They start wars. They make decisions. They pass laws. So that people have a powerful tool. And I liken this, and when I'm talking to Christians here for a minute, don't be like the parable of the wicked servant who buried his talent in the ground. And the master came back and said, what did you do with what I gave you? And he said, nothing. I put it in the ground. Wicked, cast out. Americans, we will be held accountable to God for what he's given us. We've been blessed. We're an incredibly wealthy, rich nation with something that a large portion of the world doesn't have, and that's freedom. We have the liberty to choose who our elected officials are. Shame on us for not getting involved in making that happen.
Hey, Josiah, will you tell everybody what your website is, what your event is tomorrow? And then I saw a question pop up in here. Is Josiah a Democrat, Republican, or independent? So if you can nutshell all that, that would be helpful just so people hear it in one clip.
Yeah. Listen, I am a Christian. I'm a patriot. I'm a father and a husband. And right now, the way that paints, that means I'm running as a Republican. I believe in the conservative values of the country, and that's what we need to get behind. We need to do away with the division and whatnot. Yes, short answer, yeah. I'm a Republican. That's what I'm running on.
And give us your website and then what you're doing tomorrow with Jack Hibbs.
Yeah, so if you want to learn more about what I am and our statements on issues, you can go to o'neilforcongress.com, o'neilforcongress.com. One L. And hey, and easy way to really do this. I would encourage you guys to follow me on things like Instagram and social media, because I put out a lot of information on social media about events and what we're doing, and you can hear my statements. And anytime I do a live thing, I put it up on social media as well. Okay, o'neilforcongress.com. Look, I have to mention this. We do need support. So if you want to get behind a candidate, I need financial support. It's just a fact of life. Let's be real. And I don't care if you live in Florida. If you believe in the values that we're talking about, get somebody in, because a position in California is a platform, and it's worth it to affect the rest of the country. Okay, tomorrow, Wednesday night at 7 p.m., if you're in SoCal, make the drive. It's going to be awesome. We expect a little over 2,000 people there, so if you're going to get there, try to get there early. Pastor Jack Hibbs, Calvary Chapel, and I are hosting a special night. It's titled Faith in Action, Christianity and Politics. We are going to lay it down on those who say that you shouldn't be involved. It's going to be a really cool evening. And look, if you're out of the area, we're going to live stream it. It'll be live on YouTube, live on Facebook. It'll go out to a couple 100,000. But there's nothing like being there in person, believe me. So come on out. I'd love to see you guys there.
I love that.
I love it. I love our time together. You're always so refreshing. I just want to pick you up and put you in the seat, but I know you have to go through this process because that's what we live in. We live in a republic, and I love it. But I'm really, really excited about you. I know you and I have talked off camera too, and you are the same off camera. And I love your passion and that you keep it real. You're not trying to sell something. One question that I think is really important, and then I'll let Sean give his final question, and then I want you to have your elevator moment to close us out. But so I love you. I think that you are brilliant. I love your fight. I think that you are a lion. I love how you stand in your convictions with courage, and you don't bow. My question is, how can you assure us that you are going to remain steadfast and you won't end up bought out and change as soon as we get you into the seat?
Yeah. Well, the only way that happens is through a relationship with God. Let's just be honest, okay? You should never put your faith or trust in a human being. I don't care if it's a man or a woman. I don't care if they're the greatest pastor in the world. Men and humans in general will fail you. So the only hope that we have is that, hey, I'm crucified with Christ, yet not I, but he liveth in me, right? The life which I now live, I live by the faith of the Son of God who died and gave himself for me. If you don't hold on to these values, you are at constant risk. You have to guard yourself. This is an advantage that the founders did have, is that because we decided to put our trust in God, and they were just upfront, even those who weren't Christians, they were upfront with the reality of the wickedness of mankind. They looked at the devastation, they looked at the corruption, they set up checks and balances. We have a pretty good system here. If I don't do what I say I'm doing, you should be out. And by the way, I'm definitely for all term limits. We have a major problem with people being in office way too long. So instead of making some false hope and promising you like, oh, I'm not a perfect person, absolutely not. But I can tell you 14 years of marriage, 3 beautiful kids, and a lot of hard times through some really austere environments, whether that was in combat operations or kicking doors down for drug dealers. The one truth that's kept us together has been the word of God. And that's no different. I don't care if you're a baker, a fireman, or if you're running for Congress. Those have to be your foundational values. It's the only thing we can trust.
Amen.
Bro, you preaching it, dude.
I know, you're bringing church to Instagram.
Let's go. All right. So, Josiah, we love that you're on here. We love your heart. We love your vision. We love that you love the Lord. I mean, come on, that's amazing. What sets you apart from the other Republicans that are running against you? Because Mike Levin, let me background on Mike. Mike Levin's got something like $2 million in his war chest, and that war chest is going to advertising, yard signs. Everybody's going to be knowing who Mike Levin is here in the next 30 days. But what sets you apart from those individuals you're running against?
Well, for one, character, right? It's everything that we've been talking about. But let me be more specific. Most of your far left folks are going to vote for the little D in parentheses next to the name. There's a thing in campaigning. We look at voter universe, right? I have about 182,000 votes in the primary. We need 102,000 of them to secure the primary. That's about 75,000 households. There's a subset in that universe of people that will vote for somebody like a crime fighter, okay? And that's about 79,000 people at 52,000 households. And that crosses lines. Remember I said, or if I haven't already, the 49th district is about 35% Republican, 35% Democrat, 34% Republican, and 30% undecided. Crime is polling at above 70% across all three. So this is a perfect season, right? Born for such a time as this. I'm the only crime fighter in the race. I know the issues internationally and locally. So we have the advantage. The bigger problem, I'm just going to be real with you, the bigger problem is our own establishment. Getting past the whole question of, are you the person with the most money? That's who we're going to back. That's the bigger problem. The people are completely left out of this. So if we want to beat the Democrats, we have to start evaluating people in reverse. Money's important. Yes, you do need to raise funds. But the first question shouldn't be how much have you raised. It should be, what's the content of your character? What are your values? What are you going to do for us? What do you believe in? And then get behind that person and give them the money they need.
Okay, I'm going to let you have the last word, but I forgot to ask you a question that I don't want to have sitting in my head that I wish I would have. So one of the biggest conversations right now, especially in the areas you're representing, is medical freedom. And I want to give you just a few seconds to share your position on medical mandates that are coming down. We know it's all going to get fired up again going into November and December. Where do you stand on medical mandates that we have seen over the past year? We need to know that. That's a very, very important question.
Yeah, so listen, I failed to mention some of my endorsements, people like Tony Perkins, Jack Hibbs, but one of them is Chad Bianco, the sheriff of Riverside. And listen, I am so proud of what he did in that he took a stance and said, no, I'm not going to fire my deputies if they don't get vaccinated. And I can tell you, working in law enforcement over the ridiculousness of COVID, I didn't enforce a single COVID restriction on anyone because I believe it's unconstitutional. And we have a higher calling than that. And many, many of my brothers and sisters in law enforcement believed and acted on the same thing. We didn't let that stuff you saw in NYPD, that didn't happen out here in California. There were individual instances that you can pick out, but the vast majority of us have the same type of ideals and conversations like we have right now. So to answer your question, I'm 100% that the government should stay out of your medical decisions. If you want to get the vaccine, get it. If you don't get it. But let's be real. Newsom used the vaccines and the mandates as a way of seizing power. It's obvious. We're 2 years into the state of emergency and they just voted to extend it. I mean, didn't Ocasio-Cortez drop a bomb on Twitter when she said we have to keep the lockdowns going until the election? She knew it was politicized, and then she deleted the tweet, but not before it was retweeted 50,000 times. So look, if you want to hear more about that, I'm actually speaking at Defeat the Mandates event in Los Angeles, April 10th. That's Sunday at 12. And if you're not familiar with them, you can look them up, Defeat the Mandates. They did a big event in D.C. They're coming to L.A. I'm going to be there. In fact, I was invited to be there because someone heard what I was saying and said, "Hey, let's go. Let's get together on it." So that's my short answer.
Well, I can see why, because you are so lovable. Like, you're so likable. You are such a lion, Josiah. I love your boldness. I love your faith. I love your understanding of the Constitution and the history of our republic. I love that you are a father that is committed and dedicated to his wife, and that you are raising 3 beautiful children right. I truly believe you are who we need in this seat. So that's a soft endorsement from me, not on behalf officially of Freedom Revival, but I am excited about you.
Come on.
And I hope that people see that just how real you are in this time we had together. So if Sean doesn't have anything else, then I want to give you the final couple I know we're over time, but it's because we like you. So the final couple minutes just to give us that final why people need to know who you are, support you, vote for you, and work to get your name in the minds of everyone in your district.
Okay, here we go. You ready? All right.
We're ready. Let's go.
All right, listen. We are at an unprecedented time in history. We're on the verge of historical changes. Socialism, Marxism, it's not coming, it's here. I had the opportunity to spend some time with a man named Joseph Bondarenko recently. He wrote a book called KGB's Most Wanted. He's been likened to the Billy Graham of the Soviet Union.
Yes. Yep.
Joseph Bondarenko was about to graduate the Soviet Naval Academy, and he was brought in by Soviet proletariat officers. They grilled him and they asked him, if you deny your faith in God right now, we'll let you graduate and you can go about your life. Joseph refused and he was immediately imprisoned. He spent over a decade in a gulag for standing for his faith. Repeatedly, he was in solitary confinement and read the book. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I was talking with him a couple weeks ago and he's sharing about how socialism is here. It's not coming. Believe me. He's 85 years old and he's warning me. And I asked him, I said, what's one thing that you would do if you could go back in a time machine? What would you do? And he unequivocally, without skipping a beat, said, get the children. The Soviets surrendered their children to the deity of state, and they lost everything that they were. They erased their history. They lost their culture. And let's not forget to mention millions upon millions dead under leftist ideology. This is here, America. Wake up. If we don't make a difference right now, you have to start paying attention to who you elect. It's your right, and as a Christian, it's your obligation. Otherwise, don't be let it said of you that when you were needed most, you did nothing. So stop choosing the same status quo candidates and choose somebody that's going to stand up and fight for you and give the voiceless a voice. That's all I got to say.
Let's go,
I
bro.
mean, we just dropped it right there. We're good.
Josiah. Yeah,
Josiah,
I love
you are
that.
fire. Oh, you're so good.
It's true, guys. It's true.
That's so on point. It's so on point. If we had a mass exodus from public schools, oh, Lord, that would bless us. That's a whole other conversation. Not for now. It's been such a pleasure having you on.
But you're right. Now is the time to contend for our children, and we have been given the talents in our republic to vote, and that will affect the future for our children. And it is so important that people realize that now. How can people connect with you? For people who are going to hear this on Spotify, see it on YouTube, give us the ways that people can follow you and connect with you.
Yeah. So look, a couple ways. If you want to support financially, we need it. There's a link on my Instagram that you can go through there. Follow us. You'll see updates. You'll see my commentary on stuff that's happening. Like you mentioned AB 2223, which these lunatics just voted for infanticide. That's what happens, by the way, when Christians don't get involved in politics. Yep. So follow me on social media 100%, on Facebook, Instagram. If you want to support financially, we need that. And if you want to support by way of volunteering, pretty soon I'm setting up a volunteer task force that's going to make phone calls and walk doors in the 49th district. We need people to show up and turn out. That's how we make a difference. And that's, by the way, how you cut into the whole money issue, is that when believers show up and say, hey, we'll do it for free. We're servant leaders. That's worth thousands of dollars. I got 20 volunteers that's worth about $50,000, 30,000 in phone calls and 20,000 in door knocks. So the more people we have volunteer, that's straight people's voice being heard. So I need both. I need financial support and I need people to volunteer and join us.
Love it.
Love it. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for spending, gosh, was this one a little late, but we love you. Thanks for spending this time with us. I know, I'm like, I still have questions for you. Yeah, we'll probably have you on again as things heat up. But for now, Josiah O'Neal for Congress 49. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for this time.
Thanks for having me, guys. God bless.
Thanks, bro. We'll see you soon.
Later.
Bye.